Today, we're going to be looking at card advantage cards. Oh my goodness. We're going to start off with the Consecrated Sphinx. This is for 6 mana, 4/6, brought to us by Lewis Terran. The Consecrated Sphinx is a little bit of a debatable card because it is so hot in more or less casual Commander, but at word on the street, it's actually making its way into CEDH. It's a 6 mana, 4/6 Sphinx, flying. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw up to 2 cards. Now, let me tell you this. This card sees absolutely no play in like one-on-one competitive Magic. Nothing, nada, zip. It's 6 mana. It's a creature, which is, competitive Magic. Not so kind of big giant creatures that have no ETBs, and this would definitely make that make it challenging to get some value. And even if you get value from only one opponent. Now, of course, this card is most notorious and popular because of how it plays in Commander. You have 3 opponents, so for every single time they pass the turn amongst each other, you draw more cards from them. Not to mention, card draw, it's popular in Commander. So if like one person plays Windfall while you have like a Consecrated Sphinx out or a Wheel of Fortune or any of those things, I mean, you're basically, your hand is going to the moon. In fact, maybe you'll draw your entire deck. Although you may draw 2 cards. You don't have to draw 2 cards. You can decline it. The fact that it is not good, and also not good outside of Commander, and also the fact that this card is like not even arguably a powerhouse in competitive Commander makes me believe that this card is not S tier, but I will give it a little bit of respect. I'll put in the A tier category. It could have been B tier, honestly. This card is more janky than it looks. It's way more janky than it looks. Steve Cooper with Ristic Study. Ristic Study. Another card that is stone cold useless outside of Commander. The 3-mana enchantment. Opponent plays a spell. You draw a card unless that player plays one. But aside from Consecrated Sphinx, this actually is premium in Commander. So premium that it's arguably should be banned. A lot of people calling for the banning of the Ristic Study. You go turn 1 Ristic Study, sometimes that's just game over. Like, what are you going to do? Just not play spells for the rest of the game? So this card is so overwhelmingly powerful in actual Commander that I do believe that this is an S tier worthy card. Next up, let's look at the Doom Whisperer. Whatever the hell that is. Doom Whisperer. Doom Whisperer is a 5-mana 6/6 flying trample, pay to life, surveil 2, not card advantage. Disqualified. Surveil 2, look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any of them into the graveyard or the rest on top of your library. That's card selection. That is not card advantage. Same thing with Hull Breacher. Not card advantage. Yeah, you don't draw cards. You prevent people from drawing cards, but you get Lotus Petals. That doesn't count either. All right, we got 2 disqualifications right off the bat. Skull Clamp. I didn't know card advantage was a debatable topic. Anyway, moving on. Skull Clamp. This card is it's first off banned in Modern, banned in Legacy, and also still a powerhouse in Commander. The 1-mana equipment equipped creature gets +1/-1, and when the equipped creature dies, you get to draw 2 cards. That card, and it only costs 1. So for as many tokens you have on the battlefield, just equip for 1, equip for 1, equip for, draw 2 cards, draw another 2 cards. Unbelievable. Also a very, very strong card. So between one-on-one Magic, also Commander, I agree. This is an S tier worthy card. I should have like the D tier as like a rank of shame. Rank of shame for anybody who gives me not actual card advantage cards. Benovsky, showing love to my jank Commander. We got the Seer Gwyn. And we need to fill up those lower ranks. Now, don't we, Benovsky? It's very, very important. Where's Seer Gwyn? There we go. Here's Seer Gwyn. I'm guessing. The Hero of Ash Vale. The Hero of Ash Vale is a 6-mana 5/5 Vigilance and Menace Human Knight. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. It's like a really crappy Necropotence. Necropotence, you pay 1 life, you draw the cards. Here, I have to equip a creature. I need a creature in play. It can't die. It's got to be equipped. It's got to be allowed to attack. Your opponent could just kill the damn thing when it tries to attack. But equipment you control have Equip Knight 0. At least you got that going for it. That is actually way too hoops to get through. That being said, I actually don't think it's trash. I think it's below par, but I don't think it's absolute trash. You know what? You could get someone with this thing. Maybe it's better than C tier. I'm going to put in the C tier. Maybe it's B tier. I've never played with this thing. You get like 3 colors. But anyway, we're talking like it's like C tier in Commander. That's what we're talking about here. Next up, let's take a look at Cameron with Faithless Looting. Now this one, you know, it's arguably card advantage. It's definitely card advantage if you use your graveyard. It's a red sorcery, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, flashback of a red and 2 generic. So long as you can use your graveyard as a resource, discarding cards isn't a big deal. Also, late in the game, if you have a bunch of lands in your hand, you can exchange your lands for good quality cards. And you get 2 shots at this thing. You got it for 1 mana, you got it at 3 mana. For that reason, why is this Faithless Looting so out of focus? Give me a better Faithless Looting. There we go, this one's clear. It's clearly S tier. Wow. Great cantrip card. I love it. Ooh, Nightmare Incarnation. Phyrexian Arena. 3 mana. It's a simple card. 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose one life. It's like it's honestly not great, but it's not bad. It works best if, you know, when the board is clear, you stabilize the game, you slam your Phyrexian Arena, and you start drawing cards, like an extra card each turn, and pull way ahead of your opponent. The problem is you're still losing life if you haven't stabilized the game. You're still getting beat down like crazy. You basically do nothing on turn 3 if this is your play. So it's got downsides to that. But nonetheless, if you've got the game stabilized, it is a way of pulling ahead of the game. I don't even like this art. I don't like this art either, but it's more, it looks better. It looks better. So for Phyrexian Arena, I think this is a solid B tier card. It's like a bit situational, a bit clunky, but you know what? It does the job, in my opinion. Ooh, Jess with Curiosity. Aren't we curious today? Curiosity, 1 blue aura, enchant creature. Whenever enchant creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. There's a lot of... So, okay, there's... Let's unpack this one. It's got some potential, right? There are Niv Mizzet combos with this, so that it's part of a 2-card combo. On the other hand, it's still very vulnerable. You cast this card, the creature dies, you're completely blown out. Now, there have been several, like, tempo-y aggro decks to use Curiosity in Standard, in Pioneer. There was a mono-blue tempo deck. There was the blue-white Spirits deck that would play Curiosity for a good chunk of card advantage. Spirit Squad would know all about that, actually. So Curiosity has had its time in the, let's say it's had its time in the sun. But in the grand scheme of things, very dubious card. You need to play it in the right deck, and I actually think you have to really play in the right deck. Maybe it's worth B tier. Seen some competitive play. Honestly, I'd rather be in C tier. Because you actually have to deal damage twice with the creature for you to net cards. If you deal damage once and draw a card and your opponent kills the creature, you didn't really get anything. You just replace the Curiosity. But between its combo potential and its history of, you know, it's historic competitive history, I think it's pretty good. Good enough, at least. Hexenort up the beanstalk. Oh my god. You know, I have to maybe up the I have to up the what's it called? Like, maybe I gotta put Consecrated Sphinx into D tier because there are so many great card advantage cards in this game. Up the beanstalk, 2 mana enchantment. Enters the battlefield, you already cash in and draw a card. And whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, you still draw cards. Why did they make this type of thing? This is insane. And also, unlike Phyrexian Arena, you can sort of afford to give up your turn 2. It's not the end of the world, especially since you're immediately getting value. You don't get immediate value off of, like, Phyrexian Arena. and it can continue to accrue more card advantage later in the game as you cast things like Force of Will, Elementals, Fury, Solitude, and whatnot. So Up the Beanstalk actually is just a powerhouse synergy card in a lot of decks all over the place. Easy S tier. As long as you have an Up the Beanstalk, you're never going to lose on cards. Never. Never, 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 never. Okay, let's start looking at a super chat, starting with... We're not starting, continuing with... Dangerous one, Time Twister. Power 9 lives on. It does, doesn't it? Let's get the unlimited version. 3 mana sorcery. Set Time Twister aside in a new graveyard pile. Shuffle your hand, library, and graveyard together into a new library and draw a new hand of 7 cards, leaving all cards in play where there are. Opponent must do the same. Why even read this? Just shuffle it. Everyone shuffle your stuff back in and draw 7 cards. Technically banned in Legacy. Also restricted in Vintage. For that reason, I probably have to put this card into the S tier. Honestly, I don't want to. You know what? I'm just not going to do it. I think this card is overrated. I think, what's it called? I'm putting it A tier. Yeah, you saw it here on Nikachu MTG Live. Time Twister is A tier worthy. First off, not broken in Commander. It's just like another card. No big deal. What's the difference between this and Wheel of Fortune? Someone tell me. Nothing. Time Twister is not card advantage. What are you talking about? You have like no cards in hand. You play Time Twister. You have 7 cards in your hand. How is that not card advantage? Or are you saying it's because you give the advantage to your opponents as well? But what if you have no cards in your hand? They all have 7. Then they lose. Sort of. Basically. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of Time Twister. I think this card's grossly overrated. Super, super overrated. You know, we think about what it does for us. It does good things for us. I'm going to count this thing. I hear you. I hear you, old boy. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And you know what? If you agree with old boy that Time Twister should be just kicked off this thing, let me know. But you know what? This is my show, so I'm putting Time Twister on the... I'm letting it slide. You draw cards. You probably draw more cards than you had in the first place. Okay, let's go with Toilet Duck. Cecily? Haunted Mage? This is a 4 mana, 3/5 human wizard. Your maximum hand size is 11. Well, we're going to need it. Because when it attacks, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Then, if you have 11 or more cards in your hand, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. And it also has Friends Forever. So you can have 2 commanders if both have Friends Forever. Just other variations of partner. Why did they have to do that to us? Isn't that like a no-no to make a mechanic that's basically the same as another mechanic? So we have Friends Forever, Partner, and Partners. So we have 3. Are they all exactly the same, or they all have nuances? I think each has a nuance. Well, okay, whatever. It's an okay card. It's okay. Well, it has to attack, though. It's an okay card. You know what? I don't hate it. And that's why I'm not going to punish it into the D tier. I'm not going to punish it. Okay, next super chat we got from John. Thank you very much for your super chat. Tomorrow. Oh, I'm getting confused here. Okay, here we go. Tomorrow. Oh, Azami's familiar. Azami. Okay, we have a 6 mana 1/5. We just trying to get something into the D tier, aren't we? If you would draw a card, look at the top 3 cards of your library instead. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. That's actually really good. If you would draw a card. So basically, if anytime I draw a card, if I brainstorm, I have Super Brainstorm. Super Brainstorm. But it's 6 mana. And it doesn't attack very well. It blocks okay. Does it have a face for an eye? For eyeballs? Okay, well, okay, I'll do it. I'll give it the same treatment as the last card, not D tier. If you get this thing out, I think it's a powerhouse. This thing's awesome if you can get it in play. Getting it in play is the hard part. Also, you don't get like a lot of good value right off the bat either. Vic the Foxy Gamer with the Triumph of Ferocity. This is a 3-mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if you control the creature with the greatest power or tied for the greatest power. That's awkward. Well, what if you don't? What if you have no creatures in play? This seems like budget Necropotence to me, but it's not actively worse. It doesn't... You know, I don't want to put this thing near the frog. Okay, F it. I'm putting in the D tier. That might be too low. But not, like, if you don't have the largest creature, it does nothing. I mean, I get it. You built your deck probably to have the largest creatures in play. Like, probably. There's no guarantee of that, though. Not to mention it can be undermined with... I mean, it's definitely not going to see any play one-on-one, that's for sure. Oh, we got Toads. Toads with a super chat. Spirit Dragon. Him? Is it really named him? You mean Haven? Tomb? I don't know who him Spirit Dragon is. Toads. Oh, it's Ugin. Ugin the Spirit. Ah, yes, Ugin. Eugene. The 8-mana 7 loyalty. +2, deal 3 damage. -X, wipe the board for X in converted mana cost or less. And then we have -10. You gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, and put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Eugene, undisputedly, is one of the greatest, finest cards. Definitely S tier. It's honestly not S tier because of its card advantage, but it's good enough. Like, it's such a powerful card, just in its own right. And the ultimate does matter. I've lost to this ultimate a million times. Opponent ticks up, and it goes -10. Well, okay, well there goes that game. We're not coming back from this one, chat. Lowry, how can we not discuss trade secrets? Clearly S+ tier. Honestly, I honestly don't agree. I think this is a very suspicious card. It's a 3-mana sorcery. Target opponent draws 2 cards, then you draw up to 4 cards. That opponent may repeat the process as many times as he or she, as much as they choose. So first off, in 1-on-1, it's trash. I mean, you'd never play this card. Target opponent draws 2 cards. I guess I would just say no. Simple as that. Nice trade secrets, buddy. Stone cold useless in that format. Now, if you even talk about Commander, it's like, it basically does say kill 2 target players, because 2 players will draw like a million cards and really squeeze the other 2, but it still doesn't win the game by itself. So there can be a point where the opponent drawing the cards just says, okay, I'm good, and then that's it. So anyway, I think it's banned more for being a very feel-bad political card. I get it. It can kill 2 people. I'm not in love with this card, though, but I have to respect how strong it is to squeeze 2 players at the table. So because it's banned for that reason, I'll put it in the B tier. Hamad with Dark Confidant. That's a throwback. Dark Confidant. This card has a lot of problems. Ugh! I want the original Bobby. There we go. There's Bobby. 2 mana for a 2/1. Human Wizard. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's converted mana cost. Greatness at any cost, you say. Well, in that case, go for it. There's a lot of problems with Dark Confidant these days. The biggest one is that it has only 1 toughness. That's a problem because, well, you know, things like Orcish Bowmasters, even just like Orcish Bowmaster sees play between both Commander and competitive Magic. So it's 1 toughness creatures are like more or less soft banned in a lot of ways. Now, the other deal is we don't always want to lose. Like in Commander, you don't mind losing life. You got 40 life, so big deal. Go for it. These days, your life total might be a little bit more sensitive in one-on-one Magic. That being said, it's still a good card. The problem is it's no ETB, no guarantee. You lose life when you get value. You can lose a lot of life. This is not like Necropotence lose 1. You can like lose 5. You know, if you hit your 5 drop. That's not fun. But still give respect to Bobby. It's still not a bad card. But still not what it used to be, unfortunately. Bobby's fallen from grace by quite a bit. Next super chat from Bryce. Thank you so much for your emergency powers. It's an emergency! Someone call an ambulance. Okay, but not for me. 7 mana for an instant. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. Exile emergency powers. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. So, and as an addendum, if you cast this spell during your main phase, you may put a permanent card with converted mana cost 7 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. It's very expensive, but it's basically 7 mana, play some permanent. I don't know what that permanent is yet, but it's going to be something. If $5 is a treasure token, how many treasure tokens do you tap for Nikachu? I don't... A lot of treasure tokens. Okay, it's not terrible. But I'm not in love with it. It's a bit clunky. Also, it might help your opponents. It's like a very expensive time twister. It's worth it. I think it's sort of worth it. C tier. Free Ginka, Brass Secretary. Brass. 3 mana, 2/1, pay 2, sacrifice it, draw a card. Is that even card advantage? Honestly, I think you're just literally exchanging your Brass Secretary for a card. I don't know if I count this, to be honest. I'm not going to count this. I understand you draw a card. There's no advantage here at all. Nothing for you. Okay, Trent with Greater Good. You know what? Commander, starter pack, card draw. That's all I have to say about this card. Sack a creature, draw cards equal to the sack creature's power, then discard 3 cards. But it's good. Like, it is good. Don't get me wrong. So I'll put in the A tier. Only in Commander, though, where this card is worth anything at all. Outside of that, it's worthless. But don't get me wrong. I mean, hey, sacking your Commander can come back. That's the greatest thing about Commander. Your commanders can come back. Okay, Elixir with the Kindred Discovery. Five mana for an enchantment. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. I think this is a very clunky card. Again, 5 mana to do nothing. I think this is like a casual Commander staple. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some token decks that can really abuse this thing. Like, you make a bunch of tokens and you like draw that many cards for each token that enters the battlefield. But I'm not really in love with these types of really expensive enchantments that you have to accrue value on a future turn. You could be dead this turn, as far as I'm concerned. So I'll put this into the C tier. Could be B tier, though. Not gonna lie, it could be B tier. Islarf. Benny Brax. What is that? Benny Brax? Zoologist? Another they got a lot of zoologists around here in the multiverse. 4 mana for a 3/2 elf druid. Convoke. At the beginning of each end step, if you created a token this turn, draw a card. I love it. I like this card. You can get this in play very cheap, very easily. And you can get value on this turn. You made a token, you go draw a card. I like it. I don't know if, okay, it's a tough one. It's either like really high B tier or really low A tier. But when I compare Benny Brax, the zoologist, to all these other A tier cards, I think I'm just gonna put this in B tier. But I do like this card. Looks great. Okay, next super chat coming from Algot. The twofer, Keeper of the Full Grip. That can't be real. Keeper of the Full Grip. That has to be an uncard. Well, I was sort of right. 2 mana, legendary creature, Human Gamer. It's another 2/1. Whenever a spell you control causes you to gain card advantage, I guess that's going to be debatable by some people. Each opponent loses 2 life. You gain card advantage each time a spell you control resolves, and you end up having more cards relative to your opponents than before that spell resolved. Ah, interesting. That would make Time Twister disqualified. I'm still keeping it. Divination, Annihilate, and Wrath the God can all be card advantage. I'm not counting those. And remember, tokens aren't cards. It's funny. So this is whenever you cut, each opponent loses 2 life. This actually technically isn't card advantage itself, though, right? Like, am I missing something? This doesn't draw you any cards. Whenever a spell you control causes you to gain card, each opponent loses 2 life. Yeah, this is not a card advantage card at all. Even though it has the word card advantage on it. But does he have gas in that grip? You better believe it. Okay, I'm going to donate this one then to, we'll give it to Almond. Black Market Connections. The aura? Is that the aura that draw a card? 3 mana. Oh no, it's a different 3 mana black enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose one or more. You gotta create a treasure token and you lose a life. You can draw a card and lose 2 life, or create a 3/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with changeling. I actually think card's not bad. So the card is a lot better in Commander when you have more life to give. Card is a lot worse one-on-one because you do not have this life to give, like, whatsoever. Where did this card originally come from? Baldur's Gate? Oh, Assassin's... Oh, it got printed. I was like, why is it legal in Modern? It got printed in Assassin's Creed. Not that anyone wanted to even play it in that format. So I think it's a strong card. I think it's strong, but I don't think it's OP or anything. So I'm going to put in the B tier. You know, it just gives you a nice ability almost every single turn. Benovsky with Lore Seeker Stone. This is a 6 mana artifact. Pay 3 tap, draw 3 cards. This ability costs 1 more to activate for each card in your hand. Ah, so you need to be empty-handed. It costs 6 mana. 6 mana for this thing. This is like a late game bomb where you're like out of gas in Commander only. 3 cards, but you know what? 3 cards is still 3 cards. C tier. There's nothing wrong with drawing 3 cards in 2024. I'll tell you that one. I'll tell you that much. Okay, let's see, who else? Henrik with Contract from Below. Can I even count? It's like it's banned for different reasons. Okay, black. It's a 1 black sorcery. Discard your current hand and draw 8 new cards. Adding the first draw into your ante. Remove this card from the game. Remove the card from your deck if you're not playing for ante. S tier. Super S tier. Yeah, definitely. It's insane. It's even worth the ante. Just make sure you're not playing with too many expensive cards. I guess this card would probably be the most expensive card in your deck. Okay, we got Pageman. X marks the spot with Finale of Revelation? What is this? Okay, blue X sorcery. Draw X cards if X is 10 or more. If X is 10 or more, it's win more. Instead, shuffle your graveyard into your library, draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Exile Finale of Revelation. Very, very win more card. Actually, arguably... No, I don't even like this card. 10, so you have 12 mana to spend on this thing? D tier. This is like the most over-glorified Brain Geyser I've ever seen. I guess this is Brain Geyser, right? Draw X cards. Yeah, it's a Brain Geyser. Strictly better Brain Geyser, to be honest. Okay, next up. Chuck, Treasure Cruise. 1 mana, draw 3 cards. I have nothing else to say. S tier. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Banned in so many formats. It's on its way in Pioneer probably one day. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But someday. Jesus with Blue Sun's Zenith. This is a blue X instant. Target player draws X cards, shuffle Blue Sun Zenith into its owner's hand. I think this is just one of those very underwhelming. Like, it's playable, but it's still very underwhelming in the grand scheme of things. It's like just a worse Brain Geyser, which makes it go straight to the D tier. Okay, we're going to look at more card advantage cards, my fellow coffee crewers, but we got to thank our sponsor, like we do every day. Our sponsor today is FusionGamingOnline.com. It's my favorite sponsor. Deal of the week this week. Save 20% off old deck boxes. But you know what? They don't specialize in just deck boxes and card game accessories. They also sell, you know, trading cards, the cardboard rectangles. Our fine rectangles coming from MTG Foundations and the entire history of Magic the Gathering. And if you're looking to upgrade your decks, I would highly encourage you to buy from FusionGamingOnline.com, especially since I've got this sweet coupon code. If you need card advantage, you know where to get them from. You get them from FusionGamingOnline.com with coupon code Nikachu to get 5% off all your purchases. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards on Magic Online. I play on Magic Online to get a cutting edge experience and practice when I prepare for my tournaments. And you can prepare with Mana Traders, renting any deck you need for any format you're playtesting. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 40% cash back on your third month subscription using coupon code Nikachu_4KA. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Yeah, Blues on Zenith. Honestly, bit of a stinker. Benovsky with Nadu. Nadu! You're broken! You put cards in your hand and also put lands in play. Absolutely insane. Probably it deserves higher than S tier. It's very funny, this card. The more people play with it, the more people realize it's even more and more broken. So banned in Modern, banned in Commander, soon to be probably banned in Legacy. There was a no-ban list Modern tournament that was held somewhere this year. Of course, because Nadu... Well, no, not this year. Last year. The year is 2025 now. And Nadu won the tournament. No one thought Nadu would win the no-ban list Modern event. So Nadu is insanely strong. Okay, next up, we've got Who's Riser with the One Ring. I mean, I have no idea why they printed this card. 4 mana, it's a legendary indestructible Necropotence. And it enters the battlefield. If you cast, you gain protection from everything too. Like, what the hell's up with that? At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring, and you draw cards equal to the number of burden counters on the damn thing. And then you put a burden counter on and draw cards equal to the number of burden counters. This card is broken. This probably deserves a tier of its own. Up the Beanstalk and Ugin looking a little silly over here next to these heavy hitters. Mordrak with Grizzlebrand. Catching up on the VOD at 2x speed. I don't know if it's been done yet. It hasn't been done yet. We haven't done Grizzlebrand. 8 mana for a 7/7 demon, flying lifelink, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. I know it's banned in Commander, but it's not even the go-to card now in competitive one-on-one Magic. So the card is still very, very good, but it's been uprooted by Atraxa. But still, you gotta pay respects to Grizzlebrand. When it enters the battlefield, you'll basically draw your entire deck if necessary. I think this is a solid A tier level card. Next up, let's take a look at... I don't know who's had a card and who hasn't at this point. Chen apparently hasn't had a card. Blood for the Blood God. The Blood God can always use more blood. 11 mana. Okay, instant. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. Oh, okay then. Discard your hand, then draw 8 cards. Blood for the Blood God deals 8 damage to each opponent. Exile Blood for the Blood God. I like that. I think that's good value. You have to play that after a board wipe, but I think it puts you way ahead. Maybe not way ahead, but it's a good way to equalize the game after like a gigantic board wipe. So I can see that being like a really good card swinging card. I'll put that in the A tier. Next up, Elixir with Visions of Beyond. This is Ancestral Recall at home. Blue instant, draw a card, but if a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, you get to draw 3 cards instead. It's okay, it's playable. It's not a greatly playable card. You can play it in like mill decks, but so like you have to basically it needs to be in a mill deck. If it's not in a mill deck, it's supreme trash. This card probably should be higher because it actually does see tournament play. Tournaments have been won with Visions of Beyond, but in general, the card is like really, really poor, and you have to be playing a mill deck to actually get any value out of it. Or it's just not happening. Just a random mage with Azami, the Lady of Scrolls of it's Lady of Scrolls, not of the Scrolls. 5 mana 0/2 human wizard. Tap an untapped wizard you control to draw a card. Now have the times have changed. A long time ago, Azami was like if you showed Azami as your commander, it danger. Azami a danger, but Azami has not aged very well for one reason or another. Like there's no like mono blue Azami deck. Maybe the cost of going mono colored is just way too damn high in Commander right now. This card sees no play in like one-on-one competitive Magic like whatsoever. It's just a 0/2. I like the card. I have a lot of fun with it. Also like the art. But yeah, just pretty fallen from grace. Frankly, I actually think this is now pretty solidly C tier. It's too bad. My times have changed, Azami. Times have changed. Next up, Doomweaver from Kagan. Thanks so much for your super chat. Six mana for the 1/8 Spider Horror with Reach and Soulbound. As long as it's paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, when this creature dies, draws cards equal to its power. Well, it better draws. You know, this is arguably like disqualified because you're only going to draw one card. There's no card advantage to that at all. So you better. Okay. So I'm going to put it straight in the D tier. In theory, you could get card advantage out of this, but in practice, you're going to get card parity out of at least the Doomweaver side. You know what I mean? The Doomweaver side has no card advantage. So you're going to depend on the second creature that you're soul bounded to. You didn't get no card, old boy? Or did I disqualify your card? Or Brask Heretic? 5 mana for a 4/4 Phyrexian. Haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library and may play this card this turn. This is the first time we've seen one of these types of cards. Everyone's looking at raw card advantage. Hey, exiling the top card of your deck to play it on the same turn. It's card advantage too. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, the next time they would draw a card this turn, instead they exile the top card of their library. They may play it this turn. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, the next time they would draw a card this turn. Oh, so you force people. So they lose card draw, and it's replaced with exiling. Interesting. Well, it's not terrible, but I also don't think it's great either. Being your upkeep, but you're still drawing 2 cards. It's a 4/4 with haste. B tier. I don't know where it belongs. Got to put it somewhere, though. To the B tier it is. Was that a super chat? I don't remember. We'll go to Esper. Ooh, Elixir with Esper Sentinel. Esper Sentinel is the 1 manneristic study, a white 1/1 human soldier, but it's only whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell, so it ignores the creatures. Draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. So do you pay the 1 for your lightning bolt? Yes, probably you do. You can still tap out for creatures, so Esper Sentinel is just like a watered down version of Rhystic Study. Funny thing is, this card sees like tons of play one-on-one Magic, but also tons of play in Commander, making it a top quality pick. You know, when it's a multi-format all-star, you know it's good. A tier. Very A tierish. The A team. We're assembling the A team. Grizzlebrand. Esper Sentinel, Consecrated Sphinx. Probably a funny team. Cameron Cole with Uro. Oh my goodness. Does this card see any play in Commander? Like any? What's the price action here? We've got like $2, $6, $6. I guess let's see some play. Look how banned this card is. It's been banned in Pioneer, Modern, Historic, Explorer. There's barely anywhere left to play. 3 mana, 6/6, Elder Giant. When it enters the battlefield, you sack it unless it escapes. Whenever it enters or attacks, you gain 3 life and you draw a card. Then you put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So it's not just you could draw a land off the top of your deck. You'd have a land in your hand. Escaping for 4 mana is not a big deal. And you have to exile 5 cards from your graveyard. Ended up being just insanely too good. Just way too good, way too frustrating, way too much value. This is the definition of card advantage. Look at its face. It's sucking up all the card advantage on the battlefield. You'll have none. You'll have everything. Dustin with Dawn of a New Age. Dawn of a New, is that a Lord of the Rings card? I knew it. 2 mana enchantment. Enter the battlefield with a hope counter on it for each creature you control. At the beginning of your end step, remove a hope counter from Dawn of a New Age. If you do draw a card, then Dawn of a New Age, if it has no hope counters on it, sack it and you gain 4 life. I don't like it, to be honest. I don't like it a whole lot. You can't play it early. You have to play it late. You need to set up a board for it to make any difference. There is some value to it. It's not hard to cast. It's 2 mana. It's not gonna be like if you play it on turn 5 or 6, it's not gonna be taxing to your turn. But I'm not vibing with this card. But between C and B, I guess I'll give it the B tier. It's close though. High C, low B. Medicine says it's Pope. Medicine has spoken. Paul Rogg with Sylvan Library. 2 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. And if you do, choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put the card on top of your library. Now, even if you don't want the cards, you at least manipulate the top of your deck one way or another. You know what I mean? So you get to dig deeper with your Sylvan Library. Commander, this thing's awesome because you have 40 life. Who cares? Just pay 4 life. Pay another 4 life. You got 40 life. This is it's basically free. Basically free around here. Do we have... There we go. Let's take this Sylvan Library. I'm going to take the monk. Take a picture of that monk. Still a lot of life. I'll give it A tier. It's close though. You could argue this is an S tier worthy card. It's a tournament all-star. It's not junk whatsoever. Okay, next up, let's give Pacers fanfare with the Caustic Broncos. What's up with that? This is a 2 mana 2/2 Snake Horse Mount. When it attacks, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's mana value if Costo Bronco isn't saddled. Otherwise, each opponent loses that much life. You can saddle for 3. It's okay. It's okay. I honestly think this is a little bit on the weaker side. Where does this see play? Maybe some standard decks or something. It's okay. But I'm not in love with it. C tier. Michael with Squadron Hawk. Ancestral Recall for birds. 2 mana 1/1 flyer. Enter the battlefield. You may search your library for 3 cards named Squadron Hawk. Reveal them and put them in your hand. Shuffle your library. This is another one of those all-stars that is just pushed out of the game because there's just so many powerful cards in the game now. Playing a 1/1 bird for 2 mana each turn, this is just going to get you killed. Get you killed horribly. I actually think this is now D tier worthy. So barely, it does not see play in one-on-one Magic anymore, and it definitely cannot see play in Commander because you're only allowed 1 copy of each card. Who do we have next? We have super chats, of course. Elixir, the Great Henge. Nine mana, legendary artifact. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Tap, add double green. You gain 2 life. Now, whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. The good news about this It can be played for a discount, so it's not as expensive as it looks. Second thing is that it adds a lot of mana, so that when you do play a big card, you're going to get paid off. Hopefully you can keep drawing into other really big, expensive cards. Great Henge. That being said, it's pretty clunky. A tier. It's not supremely tier 1, but it's a very nice card. It's a very nice card. Verginka wants another shot with some shot at redemption. Cephalid Scout. Cephalid Scout. 2 mana for a 1/1 flyer. Sack a land, draw a card. Why are you playing these? Why are you suggesting these cards where you have to sacrifice a resource to get another resource? Okay, I'll count this, I guess. It's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible. D tier. Sacking my lands to draw cards. I don't want to do that. Not for 3 mana, at least. It sounds god-awful. Lesthian. Italian, the Kindly Lord. 4 mana for a 3/4 Fairy Noble. Flying as Italian, the Kindly Lord enters the battlefield. Choose a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value, power, or toughness equal to the chosen number, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. Is there any skill to this card? So it's a pretty good stats for 4 mana. Enters, choose a number between 1 and 10. They have to cast a spell with mana value, power, or toughness. Oh, interesting. So if I choose 3... I wonder what the best number is. There's got to be a mathematically best number. It's probably like 3 or 4. Given how many cards can cost 3 or 4, power and toughness are 3 and 4, and so on. But I don't know how good this card is. Honestly, I have no damn clue. Maybe it's great, maybe it's rubbish. I'm gonna be safe and put in the C tier. Probably deserve better than that, but Dark Confidant check. Is it better than Dark Confidant? I don't know. So I choose no. Okay, let's get one from Kagan. How about Ethereal Valkyrie? I don't even know what this is. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we're running. Falling off the ship over here. Ethereal Valkyrie. 6 mana for a 4/4 Spirit Angel with flying. Enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand face down. It becomes Foretold. Its Foretell cost is reduced by 2. When it enters or attacks, for 6 mana, I don't know. I don't know about this one. 6 mana. When it enters or attacks, you do draw a card. It doesn't seem useless, but I'm not really in love with what's going on over here. But honestly, I've never played with it. This card could be a lot better than it looks. You do get value no matter what with the ETB. 4/4 flyer is like fine. So there is some good stuff over here, but can't ignore the 6 mana. Evan with Memory Jar. Another card that would be in the Time Twister range. 5 mana artifact, tap, sacrifice Memory Jar. Each player exiles all cards in their hand face down and draws 7 cards. At the beginning of the next end step, each player discards their hand and returns to their hand each card exiled this way. So there's 2 ways of looking at this. If anyone's just trying to play this fair, it's worthless. If you're trying to play this in an artifact deck, it can be broken. Because like the cards that they look for are like 0 mana. They can redump their hand and then bring back the cards that they set aside with Memory Jar. And everyone else is just going to dump the cards that they drew. So there is a world where it danger. But you do have to be, it has to be in an artifact deck. Or I don't know if it has to be in an artifact deck. I think it probably should be in an artifact deck. So I'm going to put this in the A tier. But a very strong card nonetheless. We did Ristic Study. Bell. It has been done. Henrik with the Mize. What's up with Mize here? I have a feeling a million cards are going to show up. Yeah, I was not wrong. Gotta find the Mize. Ugh. Ugh. Why did you have to do that, Henrik? Why? Okay, we got blue. Instant. Name a non-land card. Then reveal the top card of your library. If that card is the name card, draw 3 cards. It sounds like cheating to me. Okay, but what if you could do that? Name a non-land card, then reveal the top card of your library. If that card is the name card, draw 3 cards. You're definitely going to know the top card. Other Sensei, Divining Top, Ponder, Brainstorm. This would be incredibly good. I'm pretty sure this would be S tier. Like, I'm pretty sure this would be S tier. Like 1 mana, draw 3. Yeah, if that card is the name card. Oh, but it's only draw 3 or draw none. Interesting. I'm pretty sure if you build your deck around it, this card's S tier. I might be wrong. Because if you can't predict the top card of your deck, then well, you're SOL around here. Christopher B, you don't have a card? Are you kidding me? Increasing ambition. You're very ambitiously on this show. Okay, 5 mana for a sorcery. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. If increasing ambition was cast from a graveyard, instead search your library for 2 cards. Why not? Because it likes you. For you, Christopher B, you can have 2. Put those cards into your hand. And then you can also flashback for 8 mana. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. But it's still a 5 mana tutor. 5 mana tutors are 5 mana tutors. C tier. Could be D tier. Could be a lot worse. Cavern of Souls is not card advantage. I know it blanks counter spells, but that's not card advantage. We got to donate that one. Pacers fan forever. We're gonna donate it to Positron with a Humble Defector. Humble Defector, a 2 mana, 2/1 human rogue. Tap, draw 2 cards. Target opponent gains control of Humble Defector. Activate only during your turn. This has got to be terrible, right? It's got to be awful. You defected. D tier. All that to help our opponent. They can draw 2 cards now. Okay, Kano. Arcades the strategist. Got to strategize around here. It's a thinking person's game. 4 mana for a 3/5 Elder Dragon with vigilance and flying. Whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Oh my god. Each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. When the walls attack! Is this any good? There's no way that this is actually good. This looks like Jank or Us. Whenever a creature with Defender... it doesn't even get value when it enters the battlefield, for crying out loud. No value, no point. C tier. And you have to build the entire deck with Defender. That's a problem in itself. David Sampson with Tulane. 5 mana for a 2/4 human druid with vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Also pay 3 tap. Return target creature you control to its owner's hand, including Tulane, potentially. It's okay. It's okay. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you can put a land. So it's ramp. It's got vigilance. So you can attack and also activate its ability. You're in the bank colors. B tier. Also not insanely expensive. I think the upside is there. I can see some upside. Dr. Nemo with the Overwhelming Forces. It's getting overwhelming around here. 8 mana for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures target opponent controls. Oh my god. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. Oh my goodness! You're cashing in. You're cashing in on everybody's death, effectively. But it's 8 mana. It's 8 mana. That is so good, though. 8 mana, blow everything up, and start with a new hand, basically. B tier. Ugh, but it's 8 mana. It's so hard when it's 8 mana, you know what I mean? Okay, let's try to get some freebies, and I'll do a bunch of super chats at the end. Okay, we got Jay with Atraxa. Atraxa. The Grand Unifier. The Grand Unifier. This card. It's the new baddie on the block. All right. For 7 mana, not that anyone actually casts Atraxa, you have a 7/7 Phyrexian Angel, Flying Vigilant, Death Touch, Lifelink. Enter the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library, and you get a card, each card type, and put it into your hand. Basically, this is the new way. This is the new Grizzlebrand, effectively. Some reasons are because a lot of the Grizzlebrand decks are also Force of Will decks, so you can pitch the Atraxa as a part of, you know, it can be a Force of Will pitch. Like, you can't pitch Grizzlebrand to Force of Will, so it's a dead card in hand, but Atraxa is not always a dead card. And you know what? You know, the lifelink, it doesn't hurt to have lifelink and vigilance. So sometimes Grizzlebrand's on the battlefield, they attack, you gain 7 life, and then you die. It's our newest S tier card. You're 8 mana. You might be right. I wonder what my mana cost is. Is there anyone we still have no card yet here? Maybe Yoinker? Yoink! Kylox. Visionary Inventor. You have a 7 mana 4/4. Viashino Artificer. Didn't know the Viashinos were so good at science and engineering. Menace, Ward 2, and Haste. And when it attacks, sack any number of other creatures, then exile the top X cards of your library. X is their total power. You may cast any number of instants and/or sorcery spells from among the exiled cards without paying their mana cost. That sounds terrible. We're like sacking tangible creatures on the battlefield for maybe some instants and sorceries. And like, how long do I have to cast it? You may cast any number of instant and sorcery cards from among the exiled cards without paying their mana cost. I guess it's permanent. So we got that going for us. Sounds too hard. It sounds like too much work, though. D tier. Eris is like, no card here. I chose to shake down heavy because it's more fun than bank. But shake, is it called shake down heavy? Shake down heavy. Oh, it's a real card. 3 mana for a 6/4 Ogre. Menace. It attacks. Defending player may have you draw a card. If they do, untap Shake Down Heavy and remove it from combat. Aha! That's terrible. I mean, it's pretty good for the 3 mana, but I don't like them having. It's not good when you give your opponent the choice what you want to do. In this case, they'll take 6 damage if they don't want you to have cards, or they'll save themselves 6 life if they're like, well, this is definitely worth the 6. You can have a card. It's definitely worth saving 6 life. Bell? Oh, you still have no card? Mind's Eye. Five mana. There's an eye coming out of your forehead. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may pay 1 if you do draw a card. Wow! This is colorless Rhystic Study. Except you're gonna ask yourself if you draw the card. It's so versatile. I like it. Because it's so versatile, I'll give it the C tier. It still never played the damn thing, even at 5 mana. It's too clunky. Too clunky for my blood. Okay, let's look at the super chats. We have a Pacers fan forever. Forever and forever with Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury. This is a 3 mana 6/6 Elder Giant. Enters the battlefield, sack unless it escaped. ETB Lightning Helix. And also escaped for 4 mana and 5 other cards from your graveyard. This is... I guess I'll count it. It's like when you play with this card, you realize this is massive card advantage. It enters the battlefield, it shoots something. Usually it dies. right? And then you bring it back, shoot something, and you basically have to load up a ton of creatures in front of it to get rid of it. Even if you use removal on it, doesn't matter, because you're going to fill up your graveyard again and recast it, eating up more resources. You usually are up on cards with this type of card, so Flage is definitely quite premium. And I don't know where to put this. This is really good in Modern, but it's not broken out outside of Modern, so I'm just going to give it a solid A tier here. Very, very solid A tier type of card. Ristradin, you want a card? Okay, I'll give you a card, even though this show can't last forever. We've got Mass Appeal. I have a feeling that this is a D tier card. 3 mana for a sorcery, draw a card for each human you control. Definitely D tier. Very contingent on you having humans in play. And what if you don't have humans in play, Ristradin? What if you don't? Okay, Kagan. Every dream a nightmare. Every dream. Nikachu loves Archenemy. Yeah, oh yeah, I love Archenemy. I have no idea how it works. This is a pretty cool art, though. Scheme. When you set the scheme in motion, each opponent discards a card. You draw a card for each land. Oh, land card discard this way. So either you like dump something good or you dump something bad. I don't know how good this card is, though. What the hell? I'll assume it's like sort of good in Archenemy and put in the C tier. I have no guarantees it's actually that good, though. Bryce with Palantir of Orthanek. What is this? Of Orthanc. Whoops, no. Palantir of Orthanc. Or is it Palantir? Okay, 3 mana, legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on Palantir. Sorry, yeah, Palantir of Orthanek and Orthanc and Scry 2. Then target opponent may have you draw a card. They may, if that player doesn't, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on Palantir of Orthanc, and that player loses life equal to the number of total mana value of those cards. This card, in theory, doesn't give you any card advantage. Your opponent can say no, you get nothing. D tier. It's the worst card advantage spell. Pays his fan forever with the Silverback Elder. Five mana for a 5/7. Ape Shaman. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose one. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top five cards of your library and put a land from among them onto the battlefield. Tap. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and you gain 4 life. So I mean, you cast creature spells. You can blow up artifacts and enchantments. It's almost like, so one of them is like a disenchant, and the other one is like a, I want to say it's like a growth spiral, where you basically draw a land, you can put the thing directly onto the battlefield. Not to mention, there's nothing wrong with gaining 4 life as well. You choose one. That's beautiful. That's good value. You Silverback Elder. Okay, I'm gonna put you in the B tier. I like you a little bit, you Elder. Okay, we got Elixir with the land tax. So let's get the miserable looking guy. I don't know, maybe the person's not miserable at all. It's a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, can search your library for 3 basic land cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Basically, Ancestral Recall for lands. And for that reason, it's quite good. It's not bad. Definitely A tier. 3 mana to draw 3 cards is damn great. Not to mention, you can always keep your land count low to keep getting more lands out of your deck. You can even discard them for other things. Discard them for other cards. And anyway, that's going to be it. That's the end of the show. How did we do here? Palantir is not D, no way. You can't draw cards off this thing. Your opponent may let you draw a card. If they don't let you draw a card, how is that card advantage? There's no card advantage out of here. How did I do? Would you have changed anything differently? You let me know in the comments section below. Thanks, everyone, for showing up today. We do this show 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to be part of the party, you got to be here at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks, everyone, for all the people who support the show. If you're a patron on Patreon, a member on YouTube, or you super chat to be part of the show, or even super chat so other people are part of the show. And, of course, thank you so much, Coffee Crew, for being here today. People like Jay and Benjamin, Christopher B., Yoinker, David, Henrik, Nightmare Incarnation, Benjamin Berkeley. We got Bell for Genka, Toads, Jesus. Got Cameron. We got member Cameron in the house. Hexenor, Jay, Kano, Dr. Nemo, Yoinker. Where would this tier list be without all of you? So as usual, my coffee crew, keep brewing up them coffees, and we're going to keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you at the next cup.